Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers get bad news on Matthew Stafford before NFL free agency. As the Pittsburgh Steelers weigh their options at quarterback, namely, whether or not they should re-sign Russell Wilson or Justin Fields in NFL free agency while also considering alternative candidates that may become available, one potential trade route could be off the board. Per ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano on February 8, Los Angeles, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is likely to return to LA in 2025, according to sources close to the situation. The past 2 seasons have been good for Stafford, who turned 37 on Friday and believes the Rams' leadership gives them ability to contend every year, Graziano explained. Adding, something will have to be done with Stafford's contract, though, as was the case last offseason when the Rams slid $5 million of his 2025 money into 2024 and guaranteed him $40 million. Of that $40 million in guarantees, $4 million comes in the form of a 2025 roster bonus, due next month. The rest of his 2025 compensation is a non-guaranteed $23 million. Graziano went on to note that he expects the Rams to convert salary into bonuses again to lower Stafford's cap hit. Graziano's ESPN colleague Jeremy Fowler then seconded this report, relaying that people I've talked to with the Rams don't sound overly concerned about Stafford leaving, despite the tricky contract situation. By all accounts, Stafford was happy with the direction of the offense this season, and multiple people with the team say it doesn't seem as if changes are coming, Fowler continued later, acknowledging that other teams will inevitably call the Rams to gauge trade interest anyway. The Steelers were expected to be among those teams. Per USA Today's Steelers Wire and Bovada on February 8, the Rams are the current favorites to keep Stafford with -190 odds, while the Las Vegas Raiders and Pittsburgh Steelers are tied at +400 odds. The real reason Stafford trade speculation has heated up in recent days was because of his wife, Kelly Stafford's comments on her podcast, The Morning After. I honestly wasn't planning on discussing this, but, hell, why not? Kelly Stafford began a long rant on February 6, reacting to the Cooper Kupp trade news. Matthew, you guys know this, true professional, always falls on the sword for his team, leader. I mean, he's a coach in that building. He's helping everyone do everything, she said at first, calling her husband one of those guys that you root for because he does everything right. Here's the thing, I love the city of Los Angeles, Kelly continued. I love the city of LA, I love living here. With that being said, I love an adventure. I am all for it. Stafford's wife then brought up the idea of a trade, noting that there's one scenario where the Rams could decide to move on and another scenario where her husband decides to leave. I value being respected and wanted over convenience, she expressed. It would be very convenient to stay, very easy, but if someone doesn't feel valued, then I'm like, let's hit the road. Let's go on an adventure. My husband wants to win, Kelly added later. The trading away of Cooper Kupp? I guess I'm a little confused, because we were one play away from going to the NFC Championship, and I think if we go, we win. Then you're in the Super Bowl, and I think we have a chance against Kansas City. One play away, and all of a sudden now in the offseason you're talking about trading your veteran wide receiver who has been a pillar in this place for 8 years, and there's now talk about trading your quarterback away? It confuses me, Kelly Stafford concluded the rant, but again, I'm up for an adventure. If the Rams elect not to move Stafford as Graziano and Fowler reported, that is unfortunate news for the Steelers because a trade with Los Angeles could have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Pittsburgh needs a quarterback, but they could also use another veteran wide receiver to pair with said 2025 signal caller. Needless to say, a package deal for Stafford and Kupp would likely be seen as an ideal scenario to many. That is, assuming a Stafford trade isn't a total pipe dream. And if it is, should the Steelers still consider a move to acquire Kupp? For former Pittsburgh Steelers players win Super Bowl with Eagles. Former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett and offensive lineman Fred Johnson won their first Super Bowls with the Philadelphia Eagles. Growing up an Eagles fan as a child, Pickett now will win a Super Bowl with his childhood team. Pickett was traded to the Eagles last offseason after his marriage with the Steelers failed. Pickett ended up playing in 5 games for the Eagles, throwing for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns while adding an interception. He played the most against the Washington Commanders, where Jaden Daniels led Washington to a comeback win. He even got to enter the game and play 7 snaps. Pickett kneeled out at the end of the game, securing the Eagles' 40-22 victory over the Chiefs. Former Steelers offensive lineman Fred Johnson, who signed with the team as an undrafted free agent out of Florida in 2018, is also now a Super Bowl champion. Punter Braden Mann and offensive tackle LaRaven Clark also are on the Eagles team. For another connection to Pittsburgh, former Pitt cornerback Avonte Maddox, who is a slot cornerback for the Eagles, also won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. Aaron Rodgers landing spots. Jets tell future Hall of Fame QB they are moving on during offseason. The Aaron Rodgers era with the New York Jets is over. When there's a total regime change in the NFL, meaning a new general manager and a new head coach, that incoming regime typically looks to start over with their own guys. That's now exactly what's happening with the Jets. New head coach Aaron Glenn and new general manager Darren Moogie met with Rodgers, the 4-time NFL MVP and Super Bowl 45 MVP quarterback, last week, and they informed Rodgers they will be moving on from him, per an NFL on Fox report. CBS Sports NFL insider Jonathan Jones reported Rodgers will likely be released and be a free agent in March. Given that Rodgers flew back to New Jersey from California to meet face-to-face with the Jets brass to discuss his future, it seems like he is trending toward playing ball in 2025 at the age of 41. Where could Rodgers head to next to perhaps finish out his future Hall of Fame career? Here are 4 possible landing spots. The heat is on longtime Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin in terms of public perception like it never has before in Pittsburgh after the team's latest postseason letdown. The Steelers are on a 6-game postseason losing streak, with their last win coming in the 2016 AFC divisional round at the Kansas City Chiefs, a run that is tied with the Miami Dolphins for the longest active streak in the league. A glaring part of this losing streak is Tomlin's side of the ball, the defense, noticeably struggling. Pittsburgh has surrendered at least 28 points in all 6 games of this playoff losing streak, which is the longest streak in Steelers history. A capable quarterback can help ease the burden on the defense come playoff time. The Steelers have a decent foundation with a top 10 scoring defense, 20.4 points per game allowed in 2024, 8th best in NFL, led by edge rusher TJ Watt. Pittsburgh was able to go 10-7 and reach the postseason while starting Justin Fields and a less mobile Russell Wilson at quarterback. Some of the Steelers' woes could be solved simply by acquiring a more capable quarterback. Even though the Jets struggled last season, Rodgers played like a top 10 quarterback. His 28 touchdown passes were tied for the 7th most in the NFL with 2024 league MVP Josh Allen, and his 3,897 yards passing were the 8th most in the league, just ahead of Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, 3,870, and just behind Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, 3,928. Rodgers has also spoken highly of Tomlin, so this partnership could work in a way that it didn't with New York, given the respect the future Hall of Famer has for Pittsburgh's head coach. And you fan? What do you think of Aaron Rodgers? Leave your opinion in the comments.